aren't expecting special forces. That's the point, Sergeant.
Transmit the clearance codes for Inferno Squad Chatter, an exclusive look into the Southwest Star Wars Legion community.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Inferno Squad Chatter. They made the grievous mistake of putting the filthy casual in charge, so here I am, Zafar, hosting today. And today we have with us, from the top left,
Hey everybody, Colin.
returning Inferno Squad Commander.
It's Tristan.
And today we have a special guest subbing in because Keanu and Kevin couldn't make it. We have...
My name's Sam. They brought me in as the backup to the backup to the backup. Do you want me to introduce myself fully here, or is that next?
Yeah, well, we'll get into that in just a second. I
Okay.
just want to let everyone know today that before we really dive into everything, today's episode is going to be more of a casual, focused on sportsmanship, gameplay, gamesmanship. How we play the game matters. And so if you want to hear a nitty-gritty breakdown of the new Mandalorians, I'm sorry. That's not here. Not today. And so we're going to turn it over to Sam. And Sam can tell us about who he is and his connection to the Inferno Squadron.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I've been kind of dancing around the hobby for a while. I first got into tabletop back in 2012 with Warhammer Fantasy, Old Hammer. Then I played some War Machine, got into 40K, and then this magical Star Wars game came out. And I was like, I like battles, I like Star Wars, I'll give it a shot. And that was, I think you were my boss still then, right? So he was Zafar was my boss. We are also roommates, and we were playing Legion in our home office / game room when it first dropped with that original core set. And I love the game. Bought so many Rebels. I had 2 to 3 of everything. It was one of the few games I had fully painted, and then they dropped clones, and I was like, oh, I gotta play clones. So started playing clones, sold my Rebels because I was like, I can't afford 2 armies, which, considering this is one of the cheapest games out there, I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, played clones. And I've been bouncing around the Arizona Star Wars community for a while now. I played X-Wing, I played Armada, I played Legion. I played Star Wars Destiny when that dropped for a bit. So I've always been kind of on the outer rim of Inferno Squad. I know all the main people. I never made it to LVO. I'm not competitive enough tying to gameplay to really go out to those big events for that, but love the game and I love our community. So I'm back with the new edition and I'm loving it.
Funnily enough, Sam is actually the reason I play Star Wars Legion, because I actually got a demo at Nova Open in 2017. And I was like, it's all right. I'm not a fan of the movement templates. I like range template. I like rulers, and the dice are weird. And then Sam got really into it. And he's like, I have Empire starter stuff if you want to give it a shot. And I'm like, what the hell? Let's give it another shot. And now I'm here.
Been an enabler for you for a while now. I'm the problem.
Yeah. It's funny. We're actually enable each other equally. I feel like I'm like, hey Sam, check out this new game, and then he's like, hey Z, check out this new game, and we both go dive into both those games like head first.
Yep.
I was thinking about how you were saying you're not competitive enough, and I'm like, if you checked out Inferno Records at Vegas, there's a lot of us. That can be said about our competitive play. There's a lot.
That's fair.
Quantity is a quality of its own.
I also want to tease you about the idea of who gets into multiple armies?
I don't know.
Tristan's gonna get my kids into college, I'll tell you that.
Just from painting the
Just from
armies.
painting his Legion models. All right. So our main topic today is, what type of player are you? Like I said, it's going to be a touchy-feely episode. We hear a lot of, in fact, we just talked about it. I'm not that much of a competitive player. I'm more of a casual player. And I feel like people really label themselves as types of players. And before we really dive into what that is, I want to talk about this very famous player archetype thing that was actually kind of brought up in the Magic the Gathering community. So those of you who are card gamers from old, you might know the phrasing Spike, Johnny, Timmy, and sometimes Vorthos, but we won't really talk too much about that. But each of these are basically the main player archetypes. And when they talk about design articles in Magic, they talk about catering to the different types of players. And the reality is, it's not just a card game thing. Someone who's a spike is someone who wants to win more than anything else. That's how they derive joy. They win and they enjoy winning. And sometimes that means they'll play a lot of different factions or they'll chase the new meta list. Then we have Johnny. Johnny's the combo player, or in Magic, but they're the person who wants to do something splashy and cool. They don't care about winning so much as having those epic moments, whether they win or lose. To them, winning is having that. Oh, I pulled off this cool shenanigans. Oh, I panicked Emperor Palpatine. Like, oh, I made it so that my opponent had 9 actions out of his 5 units that were on that side of the table. Like, people who enjoy getting a specific thing out of their army or their opponent or the mission. Then you have Timmy. Timmy likes big thing go stomp. And they play, like, oh, that's a Shivan Dragon. I want to fly it. Or that's an ATST. Or I want to put 3 ATSTs on the table because it's fun and stompy. Like, that's a very Timmy thing. And then we have Vorthos. Vorthos is like I'm only in it for the lore, or I only like this type of artist, or I only want models that start with the letter S. Like, they have a thing that makes them tick. And if they're not doing that, they're not enjoying it. So, with that in mind, how do we apply that to tabletop gaming? Well, the concept is really the same. What makes you enjoy the game? Obviously, everyone likes to win. There's no argument. You shouldn't feel bad about winning. But how much you enjoy winning is really how it classifies you as a player. So I'm going to go around the room and we're going to talk about what kind of player we are and how that helps us evolve. And you might even be one type of player now, but you were a different type of player in the past. So I'm going to start with the guy who plays the most competitive games out of all of us. I'm going to go to Colin first. I'm going to throw it to you with your 40K background as well. What kind of
Yeah.
player do you think you are out of the archetypes?
I think if I were to label myself, I would definitely label myself as primarily a spike. I enjoy winning. I'm very competitively minded, but deep in the back of my head, there's a little bit of a Timmy, kind of just like poking at the door. Like sometimes, like I still want to win, but I want to do something really dumb and big to try and win. Like when 2.6 first came out, I was like, here's 5 super squads of B2s, go. And, like, I like to sometimes just step away from being competitive every once in a while and really just enjoy putting big, dumb things on the board or trying to do a silly, big, dumb combo, like stockpiling 10 aims on a unit and try and get like 100% hits in one go.
Keanu just kind of does that.
Yeah, Keanu kind of just does that, but yeah, I would primarily call myself a spike. In 40K, I'm like pure spike. I'd barely try and do anything cute in 40K because if you try and do things cute, you're gonna lose. So that's kind of just 40K at the moment right now, unfortunately. So nothing against like people who do like to do cute things, but as far as 40K goes right now, if you want to try and really win, you can't really do the cute thing. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm personally sitting.
Okay. What about you, Tristan?
I'd say I'm a Johnny. I love finding synergies in the game, and I love finding little mechanics that I can exploit and take advantage of. And I've definitely had my competitive times, but it's more the idea of like for me when I'm list building, I'm sitting there going like, okay, what can I get to function and to really make this list do things that people wouldn't expect or that I think are really cool. Like for the longest time, I still to this day I love putting Danger Sense on Sabine because there's something about the idea of surging red saves having Danger Sense that just to me it's like go ahead. I don't even care about the nimble. I don't care about the dodge. She's going to be able to block stuff this way And so I would say I definitely lean more towards Johnny than anything else. And I've definitely had my times where I'm Spike and I'm just sitting there going like, gotta win, gotta win.
Okay,
And
awesome.
I got to admit, I was worried about getting into Legion and being too competitive. As a kid, I was probably overly competitive, and I did not like that about myself.
Well, it's good to have that self kind of knowledge of this is where I am, this is what I want to do. So no, that's and like I said, there's no shade. It doesn't. There's nothing bad about being a Spike or being a Johnny or a Timmy or a Vorthos, right? That's just who you are. It's just a personality trait. So it's just how we do it, and we'll get to that. That's a separate part of this today's therapy podcast session. So, oh, I said the bad word. That's part of today's therapy chatter session. So, Sam, what kind of player are
I
you?
Yeah, I think currently I'm definitely in the Johnny to Timmy spectrum. I like making combos, but I'll definitely get distracted halfway through making a functional list by making a cool list. Um, sometimes they work out, sometimes they're the same. I definitely get inspired by kind of Armada list building, where in Armada, like if you put all the upgrades on a Star Destroyer, they call it a Christmas tree. And sometimes you just got to put all the upgrades on your big mega unit, and sometimes you just have a unit with nothing on it, and it depends. And I get that, but those fully kitted out units they make me happy. But I'm definitely not a Spike. I actually took a uh, jumped into some TCGs recently, and I could play them well, and I could play the meta lists really well. But I got so bored, and I hated them. I am not win at all costs. Win at all costs is just playing the list is boring to me.
Okay. I
And as a
mean,
Republic player, that is easy to fall into at times, right?
Yeah. Yep, there's a correct way to build it, and there's nothing fun in the correct way to build it.
I would say that I'm very much as a player. Winning is tangential to me. I mean, obviously winning is fun. I would say I have a hard time appreciating the spike mentality for myself. But in card gaming, I was definitely a Johnny. I wanted to do the weird, goofy stuff. In X-Wing, I would find ways to break the game and do stuff where I would have to email the judge of a big event I was going to beforehand and say, "Hey, here's what I'm planning to do. I want to make sure you understand what's going to happen because you're going to get called on it." And I want to make sure we're cool before I bring it. And if you don't think it works this way, I have backup judges to tell you this is why it works. Um, I don't know if you guys remember John Grasser, but he won one of our Rally Point qualifiers. I think it was 2019, the one at Games U. And he was actually judging the X-Wing regionals that year in New Mexico. And I emailed him ahead of time, and we had like a fun email chain where I was like, "Hey, this is why it works. This is how it works. Here's Ian Hamp, Phoenix Squadron, and like head judge for all this stuff." And then we had the conversation, we got it worked out, and then I showed up to the event. And at the start of every game, I was like, "Hey guys, this is my combo. I'm going to tell you in full detail. Here's what's going to happen this game. And if you don't understand, the judge is here." So that's what gives me joy. Like I ran Blizzard Force for a couple of LVOs, which is very rare for me. I don't usually play the same thing a lot. But I just had so much fun taking Vader and Snowtroopers and the ATST and just like E-Webs. To me, that flavor of Hoth was like really paramount in that list. I didn't really like the speeder bike Hoth list because to me, it's like we didn't really see speeder bikes there. So I have a lot of Vorthos in me with Johnny backing me up. Like right now, I'm all into Hondo Battle Force because I just want to put weakways and I'm gonna talk in a Hondo accent the whole time and it's just gonna be a blast. And I told Tristan, like, I'm not playing any more Legion until my weakways are painted. I'm on currently one painted out of 50 models, so I have a while to go. And then I'm only gonna stop when people tell me, okay, you have to stop doing this. So that's me.
Canonically, can you imagine flying those speeders across the snow? That sounds miserable in Scout Trooper gear.
I mean, now if we had Snowtrooper gear on speeder bikes, I'm 100% in. Let's go. Right, that would be sick.
Could be
Uh,
one of those poor shore troopers in the snow.
exactly. Well, I think the big takeaway here I wanted everyone to think about is try to identify what kind of player you are because that might help you kind of approach the game in a different way if you find yourself getting upset after a game. or you're like, man, I'm just not really having fun, maybe you're not playing to your player type. Maybe you're bringing lists that require a certain type of thinking and you're bringing a different kind of attitude to it. So maybe think about, what is it that you enjoy about the game and what do you like in games in general? And how does Legion help you bring that to the table? What does list building help you develop that personality and then play your voice, basically? Anyone want to add anything about like player archetypes here?
I do really.
I will say, as being as much of a spike as I am, there is definitely a way to be a spike, but also not be a meta chaser. So, like, I would consider myself not a meta chaser at all. Like, I played droids for 4 years straight. I played them when they were terrible. I played them when they were top of the pile, but I was still personally able to try and like find the ways to win a game. So like don't just think of the spike mentality as also being the person that only plays the best thing at any given point in time. Um, because that is, in my opinion, like a branch of being a spike, but every single one of these has a lot of different branches. This is just general, we're speaking in general terms here, but every single one kind of has its own like special little path.
I think Colin also actually kind of inadvertently touched on something really important too. You can be a different archetype for different games.
Yep.
You can have a game where this is my spike game. I'm good at winning this game. I want to win this game. And then you can have a game where you just play to have fun and do beer and pretzels. Like it, you don't always have to be Spike. You don't always have to be Timmy.
Yeah, for sure. That's me with Age of Sigmar. Like I play a little bit of Age of Sigmar, but that is like my casual, fun, put my mindset away from being competitive game. So like I haven't played a whole lot of Sigmar and I've gone to a couple of tournaments and I went 1 and 2 at both of those tournaments and I'm like, hey, I had fun. Like I got to push stuff around, I got to roll dice.
I'd even make the argument of you can be a different type at different times, because there was that year where for me going to Worlds was really important. That was an experience I wanted to have. And now I like to say I'm in my TO phase where I still want to play competitively, but realistically, there are plenty of times I'm just playing introductory games, training games, and I'm building lists that are not optimized, that are more of the idea of like, I'm going to show you all of the Imperial core. Why? Because you should see all of the different tools that this army has, and I'm very comfortable with that. And Zuff, I think you're right in the idea of like it's good to identify these things, because I think there are people who at times are maybe list building and sitting there getting frustrated at the idea of like, well, I built a meta list, and they're not having as much fun with it as they could be. And the idea of, to Colin's point, you don't have to chase the meta to be a spike, or maybe you are even like a Timmy and you're chasing the meta and not realizing the meta list isn't for you.
Exactly. Self-identity in gaming is just as important as self-identity in everything else you do. So
Yes.
take that to heart. Hopefully, you'll think about it and maybe it changes how you play or interface with the game. Next topic, winning and losing with grace. Now, we've all had moments where we've gotten really frustrated at the table, whether it was because of really bad dice rolls, because of a ruling that went the wrong way, because you made a mistake and you got really mad at yourself for making that mistake, or maybe your opponent did something that you felt was not right, whether they were cheating or angle shooting the rules, or maybe they were just upsetting you in some way. Uh, well, the game ends, and you either won the game or you lost the game. The important thing to do, in my opinion at least, and without trying to be preachy, is, do it with grace, right? Each game is going to have a winner. Each game is going to have a loser. How you handle yourself at the moment, at the end there, is very critical. I was at the store, actually just this last week, and I was playing a game of Blood Bowl, and there was a 40K game going on next to us. And the game ended very abruptly, and one of them just started smashing, basically putting his stuff back in his bag, and the other guy was trying to talk to him. It was pretty apparent who won and who lost. And the guy was like, just don't talk to me right now or I will cuss you out. And it was like, pretty sure this was just like a random Wednesday night game. Like there was no stakes in the matter. Like there were just two kids playing a game, and it was just like, and I say kids because I'm an old man. They were probably in their 20s, so they were Colin's age, and I was just like, me and my opponent were just like looking at each other, like shaking our heads, like what is happening? Like they're like I'm watching a tantrum, I'm watching a meltdown. It's important to kind of take a step back. What are the stakes here, right? Like what am I winning? What am I gaining? What am I losing? And it's okay to get frustrated. I'm not telling you you can't get upset. I'm not saying you can't feel the feelings you're having. Those feelings are valid, but don't take it out on your opponent. Don't make your opponent feel bad about what just happened, right? Handle it with dignity. If you're like, hey, I need a moment, I'm going to step away from the table, do that. Take a break. If you see your opponent getting frustrated, say, hey, we can slow it down. Let me go get a glass of water for myself. I'll be right back, right? Walk away from the table, give them the time to compose themselves, gather themselves, not lose themselves in that moment. So I'm going to go around the room in the same order. Um, Colin, what do you do when you get frustrated at a table? How do you handle yourself when a game ends poorly or is going poorly?
Um, I mean, I can beat myself up forever on this podcast when it comes to being a sore loser sometimes because I have a little bit of a tendency, especially when there's extreme dice variance in a game, to overly complain about dice variance. Um, and I've been trying to get better at it. I've been trying to catch myself in the moment when it's happening because there are moments where like for the first two turns of the game, like my opponent is just indestructible or they like just start tabling me like ferociously and then like towards the later half of the game it kind of like flips, but because my brain is just so stuck on the bad things that happen to me and not the bad things that are happening to my opponent, sometimes I'm still like complaining or being just negative and then I end up winning the game and then I feel bad, right? So I've been trying to catch myself a lot when that's been happening. I used to be way worse when I first started gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where I've had multiple conversations with people like even like store employees back in the day about it, but that was like younger me. That was like young late teens, early 20s Colin when I was first getting into the gaming scene, but I feel like over time I've gotten a lot better about it, but I do still have my moments for sure. Um, I rarely get mad at losing because I got outplayed or because like just a few things didn't go my way. But it's when like it's like, okay, I'm rolling 10% and my opponent's rolling 100. This is fun. I'm not having a good time. Um, so those are kind of like where I know that I'm very much like a poor loser in that aspect. But I also try and as things are happening, I do also try and apologize to my opponent. Like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just being a poor sport right now. And then I've had moments like in 40K, for example, where I was playing in a GT and I had like back to back terrible games in terms of just mentally and they were just unfun games for me like at all, and it got to the point where like after that second loss in a row after going like 3-0 on day 1 and 0-2 on day 2, I was like I just need to drop and go home because if I stay for another game I'm just gonna it's gonna be a miserable time for my opponent and I don't want that. So that's usually kind of like how I handle it. I know sometimes like people in our community have told me to kind of like take a chill pill sometimes. I also tend to, for some reason, I don't know why, even like long after a game has finished during the day, I'm still like hung up on certain things that happen in like game one. But most of the time that doesn't happen. There's been very few cases where that has, and it's because it just made me absolutely ungodly furious in the moment. And so, but I'm pretty sure like many people who have played me, um, in this community have experienced once or twice of me just absolutely dumping on dice. But I feel like most of the time I'm pretty good about it.
I will echo the fact that you have definitely improved since we first met and since we first started playing. Like you definitely were a bit of a like I'll just call it what it is. You were a bit of a dice whiner, even on games where you won. And I was like, man, you won that game and you complained for like the last hour and a half about it. Like, did you have fun? Because I didn't, right? But I'm so glad because, like, I know Tristan actually told me at this LVO that just happened, like, people were coming up and he was like, hey, that guy's one of yours. He was so much fun to play against. And, like, Tristan and I were like, dude, Colin has come such a long way. He's really improved himself in, like, how he handles himself at a game. And that's really critical in being part of this community, being part of this hobby. You don't want to be someone who people don't want to play. And so, definitely kudos to you for doing that, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Tristan.
So I don't want to. I don't want this to come across poorly. I like to think I lose with a lot of good humor. I'm not saying that I'm that I'm not a sore loser. I've definitely had moments, and I've definitely said things that afterwards I'm like, I wish I hadn't said that. But what I would rather shine a light on is I think I'm a terrible winner in the sense of I'm definitely having fun, and I'm sitting there maybe overthinking moves, or I'm trying to win very cleanly. I'm sitting there going like, okay, how can I score more points, or how can I do this and how can I do that? And I've noticed that every once in a while I then tune out from my opponent, and I'm not as empathetic, and I'm not sitting there and paying attention to the idea of like, oh, this person's having a miserable time because I'm racking up a huge score, and I'm not paying attention to how they're feeling about me just crushing them right now. And I think for me, I would rather shine a light on that as far as a personal flaw, for the idea of like, I definitely feel like I've made a miserable time for some players, not thinking about the idea of like, Zaf, to your point, the idea of like, hey, you were winning, you had this great dice variance or whatever, and or just in general, you're winning, like, stop overthinking, stop taking 5 minutes to make a move or something like that. And I'm just sitting there like getting wrapped up in the idea of like, oh my gosh, I'm doing well, how do I keep up this momentum, that kind of a thing. And because by comparison, I mean, Zafar, you were there for probably one of my toughest defeats when we were out there at SoCal, and
Yep.
Vader just tanking shot after shot. And I don't think I was very salty. I mean, I again, there was definitely at least one thing afterwards that I felt like I said that I was like, we didn't need to say that. But like, I never got the impression that my opponent was upset at me or anything like that. You want to toss it over to Sam?
All right. So let's kick it over. Sam, what do you feel about this topic?
So while Colin, bettered himself, I just changed the kind of player I was. Um, I also get real salty about dice, and I've tried to get better at it, but I found the easier way for me to care less about dice was to stop trying so hard. Because in my brain, like when I set up a list, I have like maximum synergy to remove as much possible variance from the dice, and then they still go, yeah, but you die. Like, well, why did I bother make this list? What's the point of this? This is stupid. This game's stupid. But when I make a list about I want to have this cool unit that's going to go do a cool thing and it's going to be fun, and as long as I can do the cool thing, I'll be happy. That that makes me I can deal with the dice variance a bit more than like I'm the kind of guy in 40k who actually brought a Hierophant Biotitan to a tournament. It died on turn 1 or 2 every game, but it got to shoot its guns and it was a big thing and people were like, oh, that's cool. But I have tried to work on my dice variance complaining, and I do also try to like joke about it when it's in my favor. Like when your clones roll 8 natty blocks, like that's all skill, right? And I look at my opponent and be like, yeah, I'm just so good at this game, aren't I? And try to like laugh about it because like I acknowledge this is not how dice are supposed to work, and I try to cut it off so like at the end of the game, it's not like, wow, man, your dice was really good. It's like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Because I get sad about dice going against me. I try to acknowledge when the dice are starting to go real bad against my opponent because it's not it's not fun playing a game when you look across the table and your opponent's just miserable. And that's not like trying to like rub it in on Tristan, but it's kind of attaching to that, right? Like when you are having a
No,
great
go
game
ahead.
and you look up and your opponent's like just the saddest looking person, you're like, oh, was I? Oh, I was being rude there, wasn't I? And it feels bad. So I get where Tristan's coming from.
Was I the baddie?
Are we the
Right?
baddies,
Yeah.
Hans?
But yeah, I so that kind of shaped my list building because I decided, you know what, if I know that I'm gonna get salty about dice variants, I'll try to make a list that cares a little less and just kind of care more about having fun with the list as opposed to trying to like make it maximum efficiency, and then when it goes bad anyway, then what are you supposed to do?
Totally valid. So I will tell you guys the reason I am the way about dice, the way I am, is that I started playing gaming with Blood Bowl. And in Blood Bowl, the first time you fail a roll, your turn ends. And if you can't have good spirits in a game where your first roll of the game can be your last roll, your first roll of the turn can be your last roll of the turn, you're just going to be salty for a lot of your game time. So I learned to just love the variants and dive into it. Will I talk about the dice? A little, right? When something goes absolutely insanely, like when I remember a game where Colin and I were playing, and he one shot two of my Mando squads back to back turns, and I was just like, "You just rolled 13 white dice and killed a Mando squad." Right? Like I wasn't mad about it, but it was just like fun to notice. Like Tristan remembers a game where he one-shotted a Death Trooper squad with Wookiees at the top of one in his first activation, and we have that on
Yeah.
video on my channel. And I have a lot of those moments, and it's okay to recognize a moment of variance as long as you do it with that grace, with that humility. And I'm not saying I don't get salty. Like everyone, sometimes something's just gonna happen that's gonna just like trigger you, and you're gonna have a moment where uh you're gonna react. I I try not to, but I will react when my opponent starts talking about the dice and they're winning, and I'm like, "Hey, guy, I get that you just had this one bad roll, but you've missed none of your last three shots. Like, give me a break. Don't talk to me about averages right now, man. Like, I do not want to. You know, I don't think you know what that word means. But I find that when I'm playing a game, I do not to jump on the Tristan wagon here, but I do try to pay attention to how my opponent's playing, right? I've been a gamer for a long time. I've been in an organizer role for a very long time. And so to me, my opponent's experience in the game matters. And in a way that I want to make sure they walk away from that game having a good time. Uh, Even when I was playing Keanu in our last GT, and the first two rounds were just absolutely just ball breaking, like to the point where I was genuinely thinking about, man, maybe we could call this. I don't see how do anything here. But I decided to stick with it, and that's when we had that epic moment where I killed Din on bottom of three with like crazy variance, and I was like, all right, we're back in this, let's go. And even though I lost still pretty hard, it was still a fun game. And I think that's the thing I want to talk about is just stick with it. Try not to get too upset because the dice can change, the dice can turn. You're never gonna know what's gonna happen until you actually do it. So just remember that you and your opponent are both here to do the same thing. Have a good time and try to pay attention to that. And if you find that you're being really negative, maybe take a step back. Or if you find that your opponent's having a bad time, maybe like, hey, I need to take a quick restroom break. Walk away, let the air clear for a second, come back, recharged, refreshed, and make sure that you both have a positive experience at the end of it. Even though one of you is going to lose, try to have fun with it. Anyone want to chime in anything there?
I think the making sure your opponent has a good game has been a thing that the Arizona Legion community has done very well, and I think Arizona's communities in general have done well. I remember because Colin is a huge 40K player, I'll go back to 40K. When I first started miniatures gaming, 40K tournaments were not a cool place to be. But like I've been to a few. in the last year or so, and the community is very positive, very helpful. Like if you're new and you make a mistake, they'll explain, "Hey, don't do this in the future." And the Legion community, I think, has kind of been that from the start, and they've kept doing that. So games are more fun if both people are having fun. It won't always happen, but this isn't a life or death thing.
Yeah, I definitely also think like taking losses in a certain way also kind of ties back to our original conversation about what type of player you are. Because I tend to realize like I get more mad about things not going my way the better I'm actually doing in a tournament. Because like, I'm trying to push for that like top podium undefeated like 5-0 at a GT. And then like I'm 4-0 going into the last round, and then the most like just stupid thing happens, and it's like, well, why am I even here? Right? Like I feel like just also in my experience, like being more of a spike player kind of ties into the byproduct of when or why I get upset about things. So, if you start getting upset about things, maybe even kind of like, am I being upset because I'm more of a competitive player and I want to win? Or am I being upset because of other reasons, right? So I kind of want to just chime that in.
think I literally complained to Zafar earlier this week about the idea of I went 6 points in round 2, and I was like, yeah, but I had to place Aiden in a place where I didn't get to do the thing that I brought a command card for. And it's like, and I did acknowledge the idea of like, yeah, you jerk. You had half the game's points in the bag, round 2, but wah wah, you you didn't get to do the special thing.
Sorry, you can only win so hard and still complain, right?
Yeah. By the end
Alright.
of turn 3, I was 13-0, and the idea of like, oh, you poor little guy, you didn't get to do the thing.
Guess you have to break your iron model now. Throw it in the trash. All right. Well, I know that was a tough topic, guys, but thank you for sticking with me. Let's go to a lighter topic. So today's hobby corner. What is the last thing you worked on, Colin?
Are we talking just last thing in general or last thing Legion related?
Whatever.
Well, currently, as we're doing this episode, I'm in the middle of building Sylvaneth for Age of Sigmar. But the last Legion thing I did, I've been building up a clone starter for a buddy of mine who wanted to start getting in the game, but he hates building and painting. So I told him I'll just do it for him because I love building models. And then I recently painted up my Din and Grogu because I'm getting ready for Mandalorians to come out.
Hell yeah. Or heck yeah. Sorry. Tristan.
I was just putting together a Wheelo last night, so I'm looking forward to that. Otherwise, I slapped together. Before that, it was a bunch of rebels because I just have way too many rebels. Oh no! My probe droids. I got my probe droid and my
Oh,
4
very
probe
nice.
droids together. Yeah, and I need to figure out what I'm doing. I part of me wants to tinker with actually painting on those. Because I kind of want to attach them to pre-painted, the old recover the supply boxes. And I'm like, oh, I could probably just prime, slap a little bit of black on them, and then just have them crawling all over the little boxes and be pretty content with it. Fine.
Instead of the
Maybe
flight
even
suit, I like
evaporate. Yeah. Somebody did it, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I literally have those old objectives sitting around. Like, what am I out?
That's so clever.
Yeah,
I might steal that for the next two.
do it.
Sam.
For Legion, I've been putting rebels together because any excuse to not paint clones. But last actual thing I've done, Zuffer is running a Trench Crusade campaign, and he demanded it be fully painted. So I almost have my starting warband finished.
One model to go, right?
2. Yep.
Awesome. So the last thing I worked on, literally last thing I finished, was a Darth Vader for Tristan, actually. from the
Yeah,
new
buddy.
the new Hoth starter exclusive Vader, and it's I think my 12th or 13th Vader that I've painted in the last 3 years, and I gotta say this is definitely my best one yet. It looks so nice. Uh, what am I currently working on? The aforementioned Hondo Onaka Battle Force. So I have on my table a squad of 10 weakways that I am starting to paint, and I'm hoping, extremely unlikely, but I'm hoping to have the army finished by the end of June. But we will see. It's unlikely, but we will see. Um, what I want to talk about though is hobbying as therapy. Part of the reason part of the reason AMG calls themselves a lifestyle hobby company is that they're not just selling you a game. They're not selling you pre-painted plastics. They're not selling you pre-printed terrain. Like, here's a bunch of plastic sprues. Do with it what you will. And I feel like they're really embodying the hobby aspect of it. And for a lot of people, Star Wars Legion maybe was their first or second miniatures game. And for them, it was kind of like their step into this bigger world of hobbying. And for someone who's been doing it for a while, I didn't actually paint my own stuff until really 2020. And the pandemic forced me to figure out a way to cope with the crippling nature of the world at the time, the loneliness and the free time of can't go anywhere, can't meet people, can't go gaming. And I wasn't really big into video gaming at the time. So I really turned to hobbying and painting and assembly as kind of like a way of self therapy. It allowed me to just focus on working on something and improving it. And I think inherently just taking that time for myself allowed me to have that moment of peace. And I know not everyone has the same amount of time or flexibility or access or even physical ability to do some things. And that's not to say that what we're talking about here is something you have to do. But I find that the people really resonate with using that time to self-reflect or even to listen to something in the background or watch something in the background. And I think that using the hobby time as a way to connect with some part of yourself and find the time to work on that while you're putting pieces together, inhaling some fun glue fumes, or maybe painting a little bit of pants on some little weekway pirate. Like, you can use that time to discover something about yourself, or even just maybe not think about something and just let it kind of drone out of the background. So, have any of you felt that kind of hobbying is therapy kind of moment in your life?
I would say so.
Yeah, talk about it.
I don't know how much I really want to delve into it in this show, but recently, life has been very hard for me. And so in my spare time, I've been trying to do a lot more hobbying as kind of an outlet to keep my mind off of things. Um, so it's been helping a lot when I'm able to do it, and also just even not even so much like hobbying in the sense of painting or building, but also just playing with people and socializing has also really helped me recently. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it.
Sam or
I
Tristan?
100% agree with Colin. I don't know what's going on in your life, but I had a similar. That's honestly a big part of why I'm back in Legion. Is stuff got real cruddy, and I had recently moved, and it's like, I'm gonna put the Legion back in the front. I'm gonna get back out in this community and see what's going on, and been getting more games and building more stuff. And when Zuff brought me into the guest spot for this podcast, and I was reading the schedule, I'm like, he brought me in for the painting podcast. I don't do that. But I love building. I love playing the game. I love kid bashing stuff. I love the majority of the hobby and that ability to throw yourself into something to focus on the thing that you enjoy and let those background problems go into the background has been very helpful lately. So I get where you're coming from, Colin.
So for me, I'm the father of three. I have had a decent amount of job changes recently, and I even have a side hustle. And while Zafar does pretty much all of my miniatures painting, I will say I do love assembling, and I think he will agree I'm not very skilled at it. My
I will not
glue
agree to that.
is
Will not agree to that.
I just recently learned to file stuff off, so we are improving. But
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm good at it. But I will admit it is one of the few times where I do feel like I can shut off for a little bit, disconnect. I'm not on my phone. I'm not on any sort of device. My wife is watching something in the background, and I'm vaguely tuning. I'm tuning in just enough to give some feedback, and I am huffing glue fumes. And for me, it's more of taking me back to when I did costuming stuff, and the idea of like, okay, just put stuff together. Let your hands do things. You can shut off your brain for a minute. And I will admit, in that regard, I do look forward to when I have raw plastic to slap together, and the idea of like, okay, great, I can unfocus, disconnect, and I do really appreciate that.
Nice. Very cool. I will tell you guys, everyone, listeners, please do yourself a favor. Instead of hiding in the bathroom away from everyone in your family, try to do something for yourself. I had a friend, actually, I have a friend who I will not name, who works for AMG, who told me that he has a 30 minutes a day scheduled on his phone as an alarm every day. And he uses that to hobby. And, the alarm goes off and he knows, hey, it's time to do the thing. And whether he does it for 30 minutes or an hour, it's something he does every day. And that allows him to have that routine, have that, hey, I have to take care of this is my self care. And maybe that's a routine someone can maybe benefit from. Like, try to find some time where you can do something with your hands, like Tristan said, disconnect from something that was nagging you or bothering you, maybe work, maybe life, and try to create something. Give it some life. So now we're going to talk about the hot topic. The new Mandalorian Battle Force and cards.
Because we are recording on May 30th, and that stuff just released. Was it literally
Yesterday.
yesterday?
Yep, it was
Jeez.
yesterday.
Yesterday. Is this in-depth deep dive or just our initial thoughts?
We are going to basically each of us is going to do three things. We're going to talk about what are our thoughts on the new cards, just like a general thought. And then what's your favorite clan of the named ones? And what's your favorite two generic clan combo? Like your two generic abilities. What combo will you play if you were playing generics? I'll start while you guys get a chance to think. I think the new cards, honestly, I'm kind of curious what's going to happen because I used to play Shadow Collective a good amount, and I'm curious what's going to really happen with the Super Commandos. I'm really excited to see the new changes to Gar and the Super Commandos. I'm kind of excited to see Victory or Death as a cool rule. Um, I think my favorite clan of the named ones is the clan Saxon because it's got some very cool vibes of like the melee Mandos. Like the command card that gives the army ram for a round is really fun. And I'm a big fan of I get to suppress myself to get a token, and I have a compel leader hanging out nearby to get rid of that suppression penalty. So I'm kind of excited about what that looks like. And my favorite two clan combo or two ability combo for the generics, rapid deployment. I was a huge fan of the rapid deployment condition in the first edition of Legion, where I would hide a snowtrooper with the flamer as the deep strike quote unquote squad, and then they would show up and roast something right away the next turn. And I'm also a big fan of the veterans, which gives two squads dauntless. So some really fun things where you can put those units deep down and you know they're going to get shot up a bunch, but they're dauntless so they can really not be penalized the following turn when they get going. What about you, Colin?
Yeah, so my thoughts on the cards specifically is I actually am super happy that pretty much every single command card that Mandalorians have access to are super flavorful. Like the name command cards, even though like they all don't have very many, they either have one or two. They are so flavorful to what the character is representing on the table as they would in the media that they are presented in. Even the generic command cards, the generic set of command cards that they have access to are all super cool. Now, are all of them good? Probably not. There are definitely some stinkers, but then there are definitely some really, really good ones. But they're all flavorful, and I love that so much. In terms of the clan, my favorite clan, I know it's probably not the best, but I'm super looking forward to Covert. I just want to put the armor on the table and start hitting people with the tongs, man. Like I'm gonna have so much fun with that. I painted up my
Especially
din
some
for a
Imperials.
reason. Oh yeah, I painted up my din for a reason because I'm ready to be the din menace. For once, I'm always playing against the din menace. I'm ready to be the menace, and then like I'm also really excited to like soup clans together. Even though, yeah, you don't get access to the special rule if you do, but it's just like super cool just seeing like these different Mandalorian clans like working together. Why they're working together, we don't know. Make it up.
I mean,
That's
Bo-Katan
the
has a
whole
dark saber. That's why they're working together.
exactly.
Mandalorians are stronger together.
Exactly. But the in terms of the generic combo, I don't know if I'm ever gonna play generic, but if I were to play generic, I'm on board with veterans. I actually really like that it also, as part of it, decreases the cost of the range 3 gun by 5. So it makes it free for the like 2 units I can have it. Because I think the support version of the Mandalorian Warriors already has range 3 naturally. So you can only take 2 Mandalorian Warriors at the core slot. I'm not a fan of that. I wish you could take more, but I'm a fan of that one, and I would probably pair that with Tools of the Trade, which gives you the extra free flamer, jetpack, and whipcord launcher. So you just have because you don't have access to those name characters to be able to do the cool things, you have to kind of rely on your other units to do the cool things. So just being able to have those extra 3 things on your army for free, like that's like 20 points worth of upgrades for free. Granted, you have had to already have bought the other ones to max, so you have had to buy the other
Yep.
2 flamers, 2 jetpack launchers, and 2 whipcords. But you were probably going to do that anyway because you don't have the points for characters because you're just playing the generics. So those would be the 2 that I would play if I were to play a custom clan.
Kristen?
So I will admit, between work stress and I was on dad duty today, I'm really behind on giving a good analysis on any of this. There's a lot of stuff that I don't even have my head wrapped around or have really looked at. Oh, I did want to point out that when Colin mentioned the flavor and the of everything, that all of us nodded in agreement because I think that's worth noting. But I got to admit, I am really curious to see Clan Ren and how that develops. Just because I've played a lot of Sabine previously, I'm really curious to see a lot of this Guardian effect in there and what that can possibly do. I've really liked her as a character anyway before, and my daughter's been really excited to play her, and we literally just finished up Rebels tonight. So I got to admit,
Rip Kanan.
where spoilers, the
Dude.
kids were
Dude. It's been a decade.
It's been a bit. The kids were asking, like, is there more? And I'm like, we can watch Ahsoka if that's where we're going with this. But But I got to admit, I mean, Clan Ren. I've had Clan Ren for years, and I think around the time that I started playing was around the time that Clan Ren got released. So I am curious to dive on that a bit deeper. I can't say too much intelligent stuff about it as much as it's definitely what I'm interested in with it. As far as the clan combos, yeah, I don't even want to weigh in on it because I really don't know enough about it to say. Sorry.
Fair enough. Sam.
Okay. New cards. Sabine, her new gun. I love it. Gunslinger with, was it Blast and Overwhelm? She has like 2 keywords, but she ignores cover now. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah.
Grenades and pistols in one profile. Yes. It's so cool.
And more
Um,
dice.
And more dice. She's a beast now. And I don't think her dark saber changed, which means her dark saber costs more, but she does still get dauntless. So, like, she's gonna do what she wants. Um, I think from just my skim through, I pre-ordered 1 army box and 1 leader box because I was thinking, you know what, I probably don't. I play Republic. I don't need 2 armies where I can lose a expensive unit to 1 bad armor roll. And looking at the prices and the cards, I'm glad I made that decision. It's definitely looks like an army that's very bad if you get salty about dice variants, which I do. But because of that, and I do play Republic, by default, my favorite is Clan Kreese. I'm already putting together Siege of Mandalore lists with Commander Ahsoka and Bo-Katan and veterans, and it's so expensive, but I think I can squeeze 10 pretty solid activations in there. I think Ren is going to be a good list. That Guardian on everything, and then their like clan keyword of if they shoot, they hand out a dodge. The best way to, yeah, I mean, like if they're on an objective, the thought is cool. I just have to kill 4 Mandos, but then if the other 2 Mando squads Guardian 1 hit away, well, now you really kind of got to kill 3 squads of Mandos, and that's hard. So I think they might be the best of the objective game. But I don't know. They look fun though.
Yeah.
For the combos, I have 2 answers for the generic combos. So I like tools of the trade because upgrades are cool. I like upgrades. That's the Timmy in me. I like the vehicle one because being able to bring an AA5 speeder truck and that medic, so you can stand your Mandos back up, and no other faction of Mandos can stand their Mandos back up. I think that could be useful. Granted, they'll probably die on turn 2, but if you can stand 1 Mandalorian up, that's like 30 points right there. I do think though that if I was gonna buy more Mandalorians and like actually run the army, I would have to fight every fiber of my being not to run no clan, have Bo-Katan the Darksaber so everybody gets apes together strong or whatever the keyword's called, and then put like Children of the Watch and everything else, so I just have tokens everywhere.
I'm gonna be real. I have a list like that.
Do it for me so I don't have to.
That's
Save
my
me.
first
Save
list.
my wallet.
Armor Bo-Katan Din.
Save my wallet. Thank you.
You gonna play Whistling Birds?
No, oh god, no,
Aw.
I'm not that crazy. I do have Paz and a warrior unit though.
Paz's command card is so cool. Oh, so
It's so
cool.
thematic.
Right?
Sam and I talked about this yesterday. I forgot to mention it. My favorite flavor part of all the Mando cards is Tristan Wren, being able to work for both Clan Wren and Clan Saxon.
And any
his
commander can
ability-
issue an order because
and
he'll
his
listen to
ability-
whoever tells him.
Anybody can give him an order, and that feels so hilarious to me. And I was like, all he wants is a Dami Mommy telling him what to do.
Yeah,
Oh, whoa.
yeah. I will say, I think
Mando Mommy, sorry.
after I looked at the whole Guardian thing that Clan Ren can do, part of my brain was like, I have a feeling that this is the reason why they ended up nerfing Guardian when they
The
did.
suppression. Yeah, 100%.
Because if you had a whole army of Mandalorians that could just Guardian for each other, you would not kill anything. Like you'd have multiple surging red save units like guardianing for your non-surging red save units, and you're like, oh, I only took 1 guy in this unit. Oh, this unit didn't take any. Oh, that unit's fine. And if they were able to just like infinitely Guardian every single time, it would have been brutal.
I'm gonna throw back what you're saying to the old school War Machine players from Mark One. So the 10 people maybe who listen to this who might know what I'm talking about. The old school exemplar Bastions. They were a squad of these big fat dudes in like really sick armor, and they had this. They were all like 5 wounds each, and the leader was 8. And they had this rule that says whenever one of them took damage, someone else in the unit could take damage instead. And so basically, the squad had 40 hit points as a whole, but you didn't lose anyone until you took your 36th damage.
Jesus.
Because you would just
Grey
mark
Knight,
them down individually.
Yeah, I remember when
I think
40K used to
Grey Knight
uh,
Paladins.
do
Yeah.
that.
So, yes, thank you for fixing Guardian so we didn't have infinite life Mandos. And you know why the AMG people might know a thing or two about War Machine? I'll let you guys do the research. So, last topic before second last topic. Last topic before the conclusion. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Did everyone see it? Yep,
Yes.
thumbs up, thumbs
Yep.
up. All right, we're gonna do this super quickly. All right, give it a letter grade from A through F. Colin,
I'd give it a B.
Sam,
A letter grade. I give it a C plus.
Tristan,
B minus.
C plus here as well. It was a fun time. It was a good time. My 6-year-old really loves Mandalorian, but she is on the spectrum and she has a hard time with like jump scares and loud noises. So she was upset when we didn't take her. I said, we're going to watch it first and then tell you if it's worth watching. She would not. She would not have been able to sit through that movie.
Mhm.
Too many jump scares.
It's also pretty
Yeah.
long.
It's also really long. It was too long.
Yeah.
That's why I gave it such a low grade. Like I would have wanted it to be like maybe 30 minutes shorter. What do you guys think?
I think it would have
mean,
been a good miniseries.
I
Maybe
think
TV
it
show?
shows
Yeah.
that it was supposed to be a season and that they had to hack it down.
Yeah, I definitely got the impression that this was like the first 4 or 5 episodes of a season that they just ended up making into a movie. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the pacing was definitely in some areas like a little choppy. Uh, but I thought overall the movie was good. It's exactly what they said it was. It's just an action adventure movie.
Yep.
Nothing, not every Star Wars movie has to be super flashy and special. Star Wars kind of has that stigma of every new Star Wars movie that comes out needs to be the next best thing in Star Wars. And it's like, no, it really doesn't.
Right.
Like, you can just have movies that are good.
And then you can have
Absolutely.
Star Wars movies that are not.
Yeah, and then you can have the sequel trilogy. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, so honestly, if y'all haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a fun time. You will have a good time. The AMC Minute Maid Grogu drink was actually pretty yummy. So if you go see it at AMC, they have like a Minute Maid with a weird flavor in it that's like this green color. It was actually pretty yummy.
Yeah.
Best part of the movie.
I think AMC also handed out like some promos for Unlimited.
They did. I have 2 of those promo packs actually. I don't know if we have the technology to do a giveaway, but I have 2 of the Star Wars Unlimited Grogu Leader and Razor Crest card promo packs that are still sealed. So, Tristan, if you want to figure out a way for us to do this giveaway, or if I can give them to you tomorrow, you can hand them out of the tournament for people who play SWU.
I was about to say I'm happy enough to do a local giveaway.
That
I'll
works.
make sure it gets
The
given
first
away to
2
somebody
people.
local.
Wait, they can't hear this podcast before tomorrow. Damn it.
Yes.
Dang it. All right. All right. We're going into the conclusion section. As an English teacher, the funnest thing for me was grading essays, where it's like, and in conclusion, and then you see the conclusion. So, in conclusion, folks, upcoming events. Tristan, what do we got for Arizona?
So literally tomorrow we have a more casual event that is going to be utilizing the Last Stand rules. That'll be in Tempe. By the time this gets recorded, edited, everything like that, this will have definitely passed. But it's an effort that we took a survey out there earlier this year, and we saw that some people wanted a bit more casual events. And after having a GT here and having Scorched Earth Open and then Smite Club Open coming up, it was one of those things where both Nick and I decided we are going to have more of a unrated casual tournament, and this was the custom set of rules that he went with. It came in the Hoth promo box. I don't know if it's out there and available, but it's got some wonkier rules where it kind of gives you that flavor of one player is defending, one player is attacking, and one player is definitely trying to hold the line against the other. So it's nothing too crazy. It's got that dangerous environments kind of rules to it, if anybody's familiar with that. And it should be fun tomorrow. And we've had kind of a roller coaster of ups and downs on it. So looking forward to that. And then the month after, I'm running I think we talked about it in the TO special, I'm running the doubles event for July.
I think all the bandos
Or
will be
June.
out by then, right?
Yes.
Oh.
I think
I haven't thought about how I'm going to combo those.
I know the schedule with the Mandalorian stuff that's releasing is all super wonky because I think the separate initiates box actually doesn't come out until July. And then apparently the customizables got pushed to like August, is like the rumor.
Huh. But the main
So-
battle box is June, right? It's next week, right?
The main no, it's not next week, it's mid-June, the 19th.
So next week for when this episode comes out.
Correct.
Time travel.
Yeah.
And when is the tournament? What date, Tristan?
That is the 27th. Oh, sorry. I just want to. Yep, 27th. June 27th. So,
Well, find your dancing partner, folks.
yes. And if you can't find someone, you're going to get paired up with a TO.
Who's going to make you set up terrain? Did not play the game. All right. So next up, the answer to the poll for last time. The poll last time was, are sniper teams good or bad for the game? And the winning answer with 44% of the vote is yes, they are good for the game. 36% said maybe, and the last 20%, for those of us who do math, was no, they're bad for the game. So whatever those three people thought was bad for the game for, they're obviously very wrong. And the correct answer is sniper teams are good for the game. Keep your head down, people. Snipers are here. The next poll, I was going to do which Mando clan will you represent, but that seems like boring. So I'm going to say, what kind of player are you? Are you a Spike, a Johnny, a Timmy, or a Vorthos? Now, obviously, it's a spectrum. You can have different aspects of them, but which one do you think you are more of? And that'll be the poll that'll be up in the Inferno Discord. So be sure to join us in our Discord. You can also join us on YouTube, Spotify, other channels, Facebook, or come see us in person and, yell at Colin for complaining about his dice.
You know what? I want to jump in on that. We are going to be pulling down our Podbean just because we got 3 episodes in on that side and found out that that comes with a fee. And it's a little steep for this community project as of right now. So the plan is to maybe put a little send-off episode in there. But if for whatever reason you're not finding us on Podbean, but you're seeing us on YouTube, that is why.
We should end it with a seismic charge sound. Like, that just cuts everyone off from talking.
sound.
That everyone just cuts, like, everyone's talking and it's just like, and the episode ends.
Boom.
Yeah. Gamers only want one thing, and it's to end the episode with a. All right. Well, Inferno Squad signing off. Thank you all. Thank you all for listening. See you all next time.
This has been Inferno Squad Chatter. Find us on Discord, Instagram, and Facebook to engage with our team.
Defiance will be the death of you.